The WNBA should be embarrassed. Quite frankly, this should go down as one of the more notable stories in WNBA history. It has come out that the WNBA did not find any evidence of racism during the Chicago Sky Indiana Fever game last weekend. Of course, we went through on this channel. I talked about it in real time. I talked about the difficult time they would have trying to prove such a thing. And quite frankly, there's a lot of egg on people's faces. I've heard Jussie Smollett jokes. I saw the Indiana Fever team immediately issue a statement as if they wanted to come out there and swiftly stomp on those that have tried to smear this fan base with those allegations. I think a lot of people need to come back forward. A lot of people need to come back to the light. I think, everyone that was on ESPN just kind of championing it, when they were talking about it, not talking about it as allegations, talking about it as if this actually happened. So like Chiney Ogwumike got to come back. Monica McNutt, you got to come back. Like, we need to hear from you again. And I'm not saying that from a standpoint of I'd like to point and laugh at them. I'd like them to clear it up because, like, this is the United States of America. It's really hard to not find racism, like, just to keep it a stack with you. But if you come out in the case and lob heavy accusations like this, and we saw Angel Reese kind of hint at it in the press. We saw Tyler Marsh say basically he didn't know, he wasn't on the same page as his player, and learned about it through social media. The WNBA, for conducting a investigation, which is something they kind of have to do with their No Space to Hate campaign. They have to make it look like they're doing something. It just looked like they jumped at such a weak and, quite frankly, pathetic accusation that was instantly undone by several people with YouTube channels that were there on the ground that could put things together, from Twitter and just make it really obvious, like, hey, this one Twitter account started this. They weren't even in the building. This is unfortunately going to set a precedent so that if something does happen now, people will likely hand wave it, not believe them, or just point back and be like, hey, remember, this whole thing, and use this as, a smokescreen and as something to stand behind to now actually be inappropriate. Let's take a look at the statement that was released by the WNBA. They said, the WNBA today issued the following statement regarding Chicago Sky at Indiana Fever game on May 17th, 2025. We have investigated the report of racist fan behavior in the vicinity of the court during May 17, 2025, Chicago Sky Indiana Fever game. Based on information gathered to date, including from relevant fans, team, and arena staff, as well as audio and video review of the game, we have not substantiated it. The WNBA is committed to fostering a safe and inclusive environment for everyone and will continue to be vigilant in enforcing our fan code of conduct. Now, they should have a code of conduct. I don't think playing a message, before games is anything different than what happens at like wrestling events that I attend, or boxing, or any other public events that basically give you the disclaimer, hey, if you act a fool, we will eject you out of here. I think it comes down to a really simple thing is don't act a fool and don't lie about people acting a fool. So like, I think if everyone can kind of just chill, and be okay when, you're getting your butt whipped, be okay when your team is getting its butt whipped, everything will be okay. The Indiana Fever swiftly responded to this. They said, in response to the WNBA's recently concluded investigation, Pacers Sports and Entertainment CEO Mel Raines has issued the following statement. We appreciate the swift and thorough process undertaken by the WNBA to investigate these allegations, which were not substantiated. At Gainbridge Fieldhouse, we are committed to providing the best possible basketball experience for players and fans where hate speech has absolutely no place. Indiana is home to the world's greatest fans, and we look forward to an exciting season of Fever basketball. I'm shocked, quite frankly, that they even completed the investigation. I expected to hear nothing. Most of you expected to hear nothing. I want to know, at what point did they just throw their hands up and be like, we've listened to all the audio possible, we reviewed all the tapes, we've had all the people come forward that were going to talk to us. Who had to walk in the room and then be like, we got to break it to them? And then all we saw was that little thing. I think come the All-Star game, when Kathy Engelbert addresses the media, this should not be forgotten. I think they should ask her about it. She'll have plenty of time to prepare whatever kind of answer that she'll have. I think it's fair game to ask Angel Reese about it. I think it's fair game to anybody that felt like, they heard something, say what it was. I know it's going to be difficult for you to stand in that now because of the investigation, which comes out and basically clears, the parties up. But at this point, it's like, what do you have to lose? They already don't think you're credible. All this stuff hung over the season debut, which, was like a 2.5, 2.7 million, 3.1 peak drawing game. It overhung the start of the WNBA season and really drug back in a lot of the stuff from 2024 that people just weren't done fighting about, apparently. For me, looking at it, it just never seemed like this was ever going to produce a worthwhile result for the Chicago Sky or Angel Reese. And, for Indiana Fever fans in that building, I imagine they weren't pleased having to walk around with this hanging over their head. There was, some feel around the team. I saw people speculate that people came back into that building kind of shaken up, like that, they got thrown that grenade on them essentially. And they were a little bit subdued and kind of afraid to, do their thing and cheer, especially like if there's fake stuff going on. So like I went to a game in Atlanta, a Fever game in Atlanta. So there was plenty of Fever fans there. Everyone was chill. The Dream fans were chill. The Fever fans were chill. So, the WNBA is going to learn a hard lesson with this. Like they obviously have to stand by their players when they make these kind of accusations, but it's nice that they share the findings with the public because we can kind of bury this. We can put this behind us. But in the short term, the WNBA is going to get these jokes. Like they're going to get people banging on them for feeling like they were tried, essentially, like their humanity was tried, their dignity was tried. Then if you're just watching this as someone like me, it's just like, all these black players, were getting called out of their names like on social media, and they want to do the no space for hate thing. Let's really do it. Let's make sure it really covers when, people are going after Sophie Cunningham like they were a couple of weeks ago. Let's make sure the Indiana Fever players, in general are kind of protected, because right now it kind of seems like it's no space for hate unless you are on the Indiana Fever. And at this point, it's really embarrassing, unbecoming of the league, the media around it, the fans that have stoked these flames. It has come off like they are fantasy booking racism. Like they are fantasy booking something bad happening. Now, these accusations happened like a week ago, right? But this team has worn this reputation, for about a year now, right? And I imagine if you're a Fever fan, that was located in Indiana and you regularly attend games, you don't appreciate that accusation if it's not true. In supporting this team, I see the comment section sometimes. There are people that jump in talking crazy. They leave animals in the comments that rhyme with moon on them. For liking the Indiana Fever. Now, I think that's ridiculous, but I think it's, this is the environment that has kind of festered around this team for a year. It's been hanging over. It's been the ugly thing that's underneath that no one quite puts in words about how this team and Caitlin Clark in general have been received, throughout this league, and the frosty welcome. All that stuff is related to this. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be the last time that we, hear accusations like this. We just have precedent now. We have a playbook to pull from. So, if there's one thing that comes out of this situation, we have, the protocol established, in public and with the league, with the players. And I think people need to talk. We need to get people, back to the light, and we need to figure out what happened, just for the sake of the game, the league, the fans, and everyone enjoying the WNBA together. But anyway, my name is Rich Latta. What do you think of the WNBA coming out with the report that nothing happened? So I'll holla at you guys. This is Rich. I'm up out of here. Peace. One lifetime.